Children don't know better. I should. Ooh. This is Wretched Radio. Children don't know better. I should, which has implications. I grant you that. I drank this whole thing, Jimmy, and I'm telling you, this... You hear that? That echo chamber, that drum of soda from Zaxby's?
Need a refill.
Like a mule kick to the guts is how I'm feeling right now. Friel, you have no one to blame but yourself. You are correct. Please send your questions, comments, conundrums, snarks, even to idea@wretched.org.
Okay, this one comes from Anonymous. She, I'm saying she, but I don't know. But they want to know.
You kind of blew that one.
Well, I mean, they don't give their name, but they want to know.
You got to pick a gender,
right? You've got to pick,
and you don't
want
to do they.
No. I did they.
Try. You know what? You know what? Try. I think that person's pronouns are Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Okay. So just use those.
Tweedledee wants to know, what are your thoughts on women and men who hold particular roles in the church and don't dress modestly? How would you go about addressing that issue? For context, she says, Tweedledee says that they've noticed women wearing, this is really hard. They've noticed women
doing the pronoun dance.
Yes. Noticed women wearing low-cut tops, sometimes short dresses. Men, especially the senior pastor, wearing shorts and flip-flops in the pulpit. And they live in a warmer climate, but want to know where you think the line should be drawn.
Yeah, the line is it's a challenging one. It's one we should draw, but it's a challenging one based on zip code, based on temperatures, based on even some cultural norms. And yet, our standard is the Bible. Our external clothing should be a reflection of our inward believing and thinking. That is how we go about the business of dressing every morning. The question isn't, how cool do I look? But how does this outfit reflect my testimony about the Lord Jesus Christ? That's probably going to keep you from wearing a low-cut top because you have something bigger at stake. It's not therefore arguing how much can I get away with? Hey, I saw somebody in a movie. They were wearing a top that was lower than this. No, that's not the way we go about doing it. We have guidelines, but they get applied a little bit differently in different zip codes. Now, what about the attire of the pastor in the pulpit with shorts and flip-flops? I actually think it's connected to the former question about modesty. If you've got people that are dressing immodestly in the church, it's because they're not seeing anything better modeled. Now, I don't know that the pastor's wearing low-cut tops, whatever, but they probably aren't connecting and understanding that, hey, wait a second, as a born-again Christian, everything about me is different, and that should include my clothing. Clothing is a big part of our lives. Seriously, I mean, just think about the industry, the money that you spend, the washing, the detergent, matching, this thing is worn out, darning the socks. I mean, it's a big part of our lives. It should be impacted somehow by the fact that we're born again. And if they aren't seeing that connection being made in the pulpit, you got yourself some hard sledding. So I think if I were you, I would take a slightly longer view. It could take some time. I wouldn't focus on everybody in the church. I'd focus on the leader. I'd start coming up with some sort of a plan to help the pastor bring everybody up. It really is. I get it. I know. I put on a tie. This isn't preaching, but we're still talking about God. So I put on a tie because I think what we're talking about is more important, gasp, than politics. It's more important than sports. It's more important than entertainment talk. This is the highest conversation that we can have. Clothing should reflect that. And when a man steps into a pulpit representing God, speaking on behalf of God, his clothing tells the congregation something. And if he's casual, it tells the congregation without saying a word, this isn't that important. I get dressed up for weddings and funerals, right? But church, he's our daddy. So I don't get dressed up for my daddy. So I come casual. That's just a completely confused understanding of what clothing is, how it communicates representing who we are and speaking about what we are doing. And so I would call every pastor just up. Okay. It would be silly to put on a tuxedo to get into church. That's just inappropriate. But I think doing our best when we go to worship, when we step into a pulpit, because it's the most important thing we can talk about, and it's the most important hour of the week. Our clothing should express that. And I would try to come up with a plan to encourage my pastor to progressively get there. And I think you'll be surprised how quickly the congregation starts to follow. Please send emails to idea@wretched.org.
Okay, this one comes from Heather. If absent from the body means present with the Lord, and if it's appointed to men once to die and then the judgment, then how does medical resuscitation affect your spiritual location?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I've asked that question too. What exactly goes on there?
Right.
And the answer is, I don't entirely know, but I do know this: they didn't die. Okay, they didn't die. All of the signs that the scientists will use to determine if it's actually a life form, God does not have to keep those things going in order for the person to still be alive, not dead. So whatever happens there when people die, they come back, they die, they come back. Paul Washer, I think, went through this cycle about 9 times when his ticker went kafritz. Did he die? No, because I think it's that fast. You die, boom, you face God. And that is not the great white throne judgment nor the bema seat, which I actually think are one and the same, but just the same. You're going to get judged to some way, shape, or form by God, because you're either going to be in heaven or you're going to be in hell. It's a holding heaven, it's a holding hell. It's not the eternal places, but there is a judgment that is rendered, and I think it happens instantaneously upon death. So whatever happens to these people that have these types of Paul Washer experiences, we just have to conclude, while I don't know what happens, how that works, I do know it's not actual death. Jimmy, you got any more on that?
No, I would tend to agree with you.
The only thing, I don't know.
That's right. It's a tough one to try to answer.
And you hear about they were hovering on the ceiling and they were looking down and seeing themselves. I don't know what any of those things are. I know I have vivid dreams. I wake up and that was real, especially the ones. Do you want to know the dream that had me like, I had to work through the agitation?
What's that?
I dreamt that Mrs. Friel was smoking cigarettes. Would you explain to me why that annoyed me so much? Interpret my dream.
I don't know.
It just, for me, I don't know why. I've said before, I don't think smoking is a sin. I just think it's stupid. But there's something about it, must be inside of me, that it represents like you're something other than what you've been saying you are.
The nicotine stained her hands.
And then I wake up and it's like, morning. I don't know what happened. It was very vivid. I don't know what happens to people in an operating room who think they can see themselves. I don't know. But I can at least determine what doesn't happen, because those aforementioned verses are precisely our guiding principles for, I think, coming to the conclusion, while we don't know what it isn't death. Please send your emails to idea@wretched.org.
Okay, we're full of these anonymous messages today. This one comes from Anonymous and wants to know, should Christians read Brother Lawrence's Practice
No.
on the Presence of God?
No. Let me come up with another word. No!
That's what I wrote on the question.
No. I'm trying to think of a way to let me expand that a little bit. No. Please send emails to Here's the problem with practicing the presence of God. It's mysticism. It's Catholic mysticism is what it is. It has no foundation in the Bible. There's a couple of verses that they take twist slap on it. And furthermore, I find it to be the most burdensome thing and a incorrect understanding of the Christian life and our relationship with God. Okay, I'm now grabbing my Zaxby's cup to shake it. Was I thinking about God when I just did that? No. But if I'm Brother Lawrence, I should have been. Okay, I don't know how that works when I'm trying to take a test on algebra. I don't know how that works when I'm trying to figure out why the person in the oncoming lane stops so I can take a left-hand turn when they have the right-of-way. I'm thinking. I can't be, I'm just feeling God. He's so close right now. That's practicing the presence of God. Okay, a bit of a caricature, but not horribly disfigured. How do we walk throughout the course of the day knowing that God is near? We don't need to practice the presence of it and be, okay, I'm constantly being mindful. God's near. Okay, I'd like to take a sip of that soda, but I got to think about God right now. Instead, start your day, dedicate your day to the Lord. Talk to your God throughout the course of the day. Be reminded as you go throughout your walk, even if you're not praying to him, the Lord is near. He is good. He is close. He is protective. He's a defender. I love my God. And then you keep doing your stuff. That, I think, is the way that we walk as Christians, not practicing the presence. This is Wretched Radio. Hey, if you would like to watch all 4 segments, not just one of Wretched Radio, you can do that at wretched.org. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is